What's happening, party people? It's Sunday. What a way to start out the week with explosions. Just what we love, right? Hey, Jack. Hey, John Rupp. Thanks for joining. How are you doing tonight? I don't know if that's you're watching or what's up, but hey, what's going on, buddy? So we got a pretty cool show tonight. We're going to talk about strings number one with Timothy, and I should have asked him how to pronounce his name before I got on. So that's he can do that for me when he comes out. So without further ado, we're going to invite Timothy into the stream.
Hi,
What's going on, man?
how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How do you pronounce your last name? I should have asked that.
So it's not as hard as it looks. It's is a Gary. So is a Gary. 3 words.
Is it Gary? Okay,
Yeah.
well that's easy enough. So that's where you
Yeah.
came up with the Izzy.
Yep. Yeah. I was in the military and law enforcement, so Izzy was. We always went by our last name, so just easier to use a nickname than it was to try and say that.
Oh no, I get it totally. Then we got Keith in here. We got Brian Booth.
What's going on, Brian? Keith.
He was watching The Watchmen. That's what he was saying. So strings number one. That sounds like an interesting name, and I love the whole concept of everything. You know, reading through the whole synopsis on the book, on the Kickstarter and stuff. What initially got you into comic books? Like what age and what typically was your passion in? Like, do you Marvel or DC?
Well, I started when I was in high school. My stepdad he had a comic book collection, and he gave it to me when I was a teenager. But then I joined the military, and I was like, I don't need comic books. So I actually sold all my comic books when I don't know if he probably didn't even know that, but I sold my comic books when I first got into the army, and then several years later, 2013, my brother moved in with me here in Alabama, and he was already into comics, and I was into Walking Dead, but I really didn't realize that there was a comic book series. It was already a comic book series for years before that. So he got me into. We started going to the comic book shops, hanging out, and stuff, and I started picking up the indie stuff more. And Walking Dead was the first thing I really started reading. I was like, man, this thing's so much better than the TV show. I mean, I love the TV show, and I mean, it's gotten crazy lately. It's like fallen off a lot, but really, The Walking Dead was the first thing I really started reading in comics. And then the Guardians of the Galaxy movie was coming out about that time, and that just was so different to me than the rest of the Marvel. It was more fun and just it's really cool. The soundtrack was amazing. I mean, everything about it was awesome. So I started reading all the the Galactic Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
And so Thanos, I read Thanos Rising, which is actually my wife is doing a blog on that. She's not much of a comic reader, but she started a blog where she's going to start reviewing comics that I recommend or somebody else recommends.
Yeah.
So I loved Thanos Rising. She didn't seem to really enjoy it as much as me. But yeah, so Thanos is my favorite character in the Marvel universe. By far, and I really don't read a whole lot of the Marvel and DC stuff. I do still read Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that, even though it's gotten a lot crazier. So many different writers, and they've restarted it about 100 times, it seems like.
Yeah.
But I do more with indie stuff, and that's why if you look at the exclusives I've done most of the exclusives I've done through my shop are indie stuff, and because I really like the freedom that indie writers seem to have with comics. So
yeah. Well, and that's what's great about indie comics. They take their own direction on things. Where a lot of the Marvel and DC, it seems more like everything's censored, and they try to cater to what's PC now and try to make everybody happy. Where the indies community is just like, what, this is the story, and this is how the story is. Some people are gonna like it, some people are gonna hate it. They're not out there, to impress everybody. They have the select group or the select audience, and they write what they want to, and it's great. What's going on, Danny?
I have not read the original. I know there's a Walking Dead 4-part miniseries or 3-part miniseries or whatever it is. I've not read that one. I know which one you're talking about though.
Yeah. So you went to the military. You came back. Your brother got you back into comics. So how did Izzy Collectibles come about?
So after I got out of the military, bounced around a little bit, but eventually joined law enforcement, and I was a police officer for 9 years. During that time, that's when I started getting into comics, and I would take comics with me while I was on patrol because I worked in a town of little over 1,000 people, I guess it was. We had literally no street lights, one business open in the middle of the night. It was dead. I mean,
So you did a night watch.
yeah, and I was one officer on duty, so I was the only officer out there, the only officer within like. I mean, the worst part about it was I didn't have backup, you know. So if something did happen, I had to hold my own for a little while.
You were flying solo.
Yeah. So I really just I would take comics to work, something to do, and it got especially like at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when there's really nothing going on, and just sit and read a comic book on the side of the road, you know, waiting for a car to stop to roll by every hour. You know, like, and it was just something to get my mind off of what I was doing, and I really just started getting into the Facebook groups. There's so many Facebook groups that buy, sell, trade, and I actually like the trading aspect of it. And I became a huge trader on through the Facebook groups, and was actually like the highest rated trader in multiple groups, and actually became an admin in a couple of the trade only groups. So I made it easy. I did Izzy's Comics and Collectibles just as a way for me to post some of the stuff that I had available to make trading easier, so people they could see what I had available.
Yeah.
And so just started doing that on the side, you know, something fun to do, and then started buying up collections from people you know, and it got so big. My wife was like, well, you know, I was about to get my college degree. Went back to college while I was in law enforcement, and in 2000, I guess it was 2019, early 2019, I was about to get my college degree in IT. And at that time, I was like, I don't even want to do IT. I mean, I was so bored with college, but I was so close to getting my degree. But she was like, you know, why don't you try Izzy's and see if you can make a business out of it? And thanks, Jeff. and she's like, my wife is really what pushed me to give Izzy's a chance as a business. And so I got out of law enforcement, and we did our first exclusive with Murat Michaels at Counterpoint Comics. We did a Bohemian Rhapsody homage for Do You Poo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was a very low print run because I really was, you know, I wasn't anybody back then. It was a small show. We were small. We were really still just not even Izzy's Comics yet. And I think we only had like maybe 25 of the regular print run, and then there's some medals. They're very hard to find now. You hardly ever see them pop up. But we did that with Murat. It was, I tell Murat, he's the reason, you know, I love the guy. If anybody comes to me saying, how do you get into exclusives? I say, start with Murat, because, you know, he'll help you out. You don't have that 500 or 250 or the big print run you have to commit to with the other publishers.
So Eduardo's jumping the gun on me here. So this is what we were leading up to. So you liked comics, you gave your collection away, you went in the military, come out, got into law enforcement, you were reading comic books on the side of the road. Danny mentioned that you were the super trooper, not super troopers, because there was only one.
Yeah, so exactly.
So you hung out and you were reading comic books, and then you decided, hey, I'm going to start trading these, and it got a lot of fun, and you built yourself a name out there, and you're like, hey, let's just do Izzy's Collectibles. And so now here we are, you have the book Strings. So what inspired you to write the book Strings? Is it your first writing, or have you always written on the side?
I've always written on the side, but I'm a very big procrastinator. Another reason why my wife is the reason I would have been content staying in law enforcement forever, just whether I liked it or not. I loved my job, but at the same time, I wasn't going anywhere, you know. But I was content. I had security. So, but I always procrastinate. I've started things, lots of projects. I actually started writing actual books before I ever started writing comic books, you know. I started writing an actual novel type book years ago. And then that one was fantasy. Never finished it. Started writing another book that was more of a romance novel. Yes, started writing a romance novel. And
hey, there's no judgment here, man. I'm an author too, so you know.
Well, I have the whole story, and I think it could be really epic. So I might end up writing a nice romance novel one day.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's a big market for it.
Yeah. So I started. I really liked writing the books, and then I've always drawn on the side. When I was in the military, and I stopped drawing a lot. I drew a lot when I was younger, and then, you know, life took its course, and didn't draw as much as I used to. Then my son started drawing, and he got me back into drawing a lot. So I started drawing all the stuff and thought I was going to do my own thing as far as making a comic book, but I just procrastinated so much that I was like, this is never going to happen. So, I actually wrote Strings #1 over a year ago, a couple years ago. Had an artist on board, started drawing it. Yeah, 50 Shades. It's not that kind of romance novel. But yeah, so I started writing. I wrote Strings, had an artist. We started. I paid him up front. Worst decision I did. And he ended up skipping out of town on my money, and I actually lost that dream for a while. It took me about a year to even give another artist a chance to make the dream come to life. So, but Strings is just, it's, especially when I was in law enforcement. I worked a college beat when I was at Tuscaloosa Police Department before I went out to the small town. So I was in a college town. You got the University of Alabama football, huge, everything. Tons of college kids, but they feel really entitled. There's a lot of them. They're like, who my dad is. It's like stuff like that kind of thing. And so that's really what inspired Strings, is all these people that felt like nobody could touch them, that nothing they did would all the decisions they made, it didn't matter because their parents had money, or they were in fraternities or going to a great college. So it's just, I felt like
too many entitled people were in the world.
Yeah, too many entitled people in the world that sometimes they need a wake-up call, and that's what Strings is kind of about, is you just feel like you're above and beyond. You got everything, you got it made, you got everything you ever wanted. Nobody can stop, nobody can change that, nobody can take that away from you. Well, there's, once college is over, if you don't make it through that and all that kind of stuff, there's so many different things, that can change the course of your life, So really that's that. A lot of stuff I've seen a lot of stuff in my life, I guess, with law enforcement and military. So
Brian asked, in the military, were you an MP? Would make sense as a smooth transition.
No, not even close. At first, I joined the military. I've always wanted to do something with computers. I've always enjoyed computers. So I joined the military. When I joined, I was 17 years old. I was in the middle of junior and senior year of high school, and I said I joined the Army. Said I wanted to do something with computers. So they said, "Oh, automated logistics specialist." I was like, "Yeah, that sounds good." No idea what I was doing. Ended up being a supply person. Stocking units with anything from toilet paper all the way up to tank parts. And I was like, this is not what I wanted to do. So I actually ended up making some phone calls, got some things worked out. I ended up actually doing a lot of the internet stuff. And when I was in the military, I finally got my job switched over. And when I went to Iraq, we went early on to Iraq back in 2004. And we were the ones that set up most of the internet throughout the entire country, which was a big deal back then. People needed the internet, wanted the internet. So that's what I did. I did the internet and stuff like that. But no, not even close to MP or anything like law enforcement.
Although last year, I'm sure you missed that toilet paper stocking job, because at least then you'd have some right.
Right. Yeah, that's job security there.
That is. And then Chris Surma said, apologies if I missed it, but what comic series got you into comics?
Walking Dead was my first full, I've jumped head on into that one. And really, like I said, by the time I got into knowing that there was even a series for the comic books, there was enough to read that it kept me busy. I think I got the compendium was the first thing that was already out, was the first 50 issues. So there was enough to read there to really get into the story and get into comics. So
what other indie titles are you interested in? Like, what's your passion outside of Walking Dead?
I'm a huge Cullen Bunn fan. And actually the first thing is it's one of his more oddball, I guess, series, but Helheim. I loved Helheim. He did Brides of Helheim. And there's some guys like Eduardo knows me. He's known me for years. I've been trading with him for years, and he's actually hooked me up with a Helheim slabs, and I got multiple of variants signed by Colin Bunn and Joel Jones and stuff like that. And but love Colin Bunn, even though now he probably writes a new book every couple weeks. There's a new release of Colin Bunn's coming out, so I can't keep up with it all anymore. But also Revival, loved Frizon's early work. But Revival was one of my big ones I love. Lock and Key is probably Lock and Key is one of my top all-time reads. So happy that they keep pumping out little one shots here and there just to keep you interested,
That's right.
But yeah, a lot of horror, darker stuff, like I guess that's kind of why I went with a psychological horror myself,
Yeah. And I love the idea behind the book. I mean, it sounds awesome. And I have to say, I absolutely love the sorry, I'm going to bring up the Kickstarter here. I love the VHS cover. That is freaking amazing.
Yeah, and that's actually my son. So my son did the VHS variant. He was so pumped. Like he got so happy about being able to do the VHS variant. Like he had a blast working on it. And he's gotten a pretty good following now, especially like with the Something Is Killing the Children crowd. He's done probably most of his commissions have been somebody that was in a Something Is Killing the Children fan club group. But yeah, he did the VHS variant, and I've actually gotten phone calls from publishers saying that he needs to do VHS variants for them, for some actual more indie mainstream type series.
And I love this cover too. That's freaking.
Oh, that's Tyler Haddix. Huge friend of him. I didn't know him for a long time, but he actually reached out to me about doing a comic book cover one day if I wanted to work with him. And he did. He had his first published cover with Izzy's for a Murat book. He did like a yin yang style Tigumverse painting, and that was his first published cover. And now that he's a huge friend, I had to reach out to him and say, "Hey man, can you paint me something for my comic book?" And he felt honored to do that.
And Dustin Winter said, "This is a man that followed his dream, y'all, and stuck with it. I know him personally, and he is doing what he loves." Hello from the Winters household, buddy. And your son drew this? How old is your son?
He's 18, just turned 18 in December. 18. He's still in high school. Yeah.
Yeah, I love this cover. It is freaking phenomenal. I mean, awesome. Growing up in the 80s and seeing all the old VHSs and the way that they drew the gruesome covers on the horror, like Hellraiser and, Puppet Master, all those covers, throughout the years on the horror were awesome. And it's like now they're all kind of, everything's like super gritty and bloody. And like, I love this. This is the old time feel to it.
Yeah. It turned out cool. We even like tore up one of my Izzy's stickers, and he scanned it and played with it digitally to make it look a little bit, rough and stuff like that. Because that's why the sticker, if you look real good, the sticker looks like it's real, but it actually really is a real sticker on it.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, we tried to manipulate a sticker to make it look like it was
legit coming off of there. Yeah, because he's got the 3D look to it. It looks phenomenal.
Yeah, it was cool. And we actually, there's a stretch goal for that VHS too. That's going to be a clean version, looking more like the original movie poster, and it's going to be made into a metal print, like a metal VHS box-sized print. We already passed that stretch goal, so everybody's going to get that metal print already too of it. So even if you don't get that cover, you're still going to get the metal print version of the cover.
Yeah, you guys are blowing through on this.
Yeah, it was shocking. We reached our goal in 23 minutes, and it was funny because when I was doing the launch party for it, I was nervous. I'm still nervous. I still can't believe how crazy it's been. But I was nervous. I was just hoping to get funded, and it was only 23 minutes in, and it was already funded. And I was like, I got to go live again and tell everybody thank you. So, I
love that the 6x9 metal print with VHS variant are not worn out.
And if you look up go back up one if you can. That one right there, the cartoony version of the guy, that's my daughter. She does like digital work. She actually usually will hand pencil something and then scan it and then digitally color and ink it and stuff like that, but she did that for the project. She did that as it's going to be a die cut sticker for the project. So that's a
awesome.
family experience.
That's really cool, and I love that you included them in that. I mean, that's pretty cool. The little digital uh, die cut sticker with the little
Yeah,
hands on the puppet strings. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So
Brian said, hopefully we can reach the challenge coin goal.
yeah, the challenge coin. Being military law enforcement, I've got several challenge coins. It always meant something special though, coming from a higher up usually. So I love doing. I have challenge coins that I give out to people in Izzy's. I don't sell them. They're something I just give out to people randomly. Huge fan of challenge coins, so I would love to be able to do a challenge coin for strings. So I'm hoping we get there. So, and we've got. I don't know how much it means, but there's still 117 people that show watching it that haven't even backed the project. So I'm hoping those 117 are just waiting till last minute and jump on there as well. So
Yeah. So without giving anything away, and without giving the Kickstarter pitch, what is your elevator pitch? Like if somebody walked up to you on the street and they asked you, and Chris, I am not forgetting about you. I'll get to your question in a second. If somebody walked up to you and asked you, "Hey, I heard you're doing this book Strings. What's that about?"
really, I mean, I like to say that it's that voice inside your head. You ignore it enough, eventually it just gives up on you, and that's what this is about. It's that voice is now like a physical entity that of your doing because you ignored it so much that it finally just said, "I need to intervene with this boy's life," So that's basically what it is. It's it's psychological. It's this. I'm trying. It's hard not to want to tell more.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So,
And you're playing this
so,
as is kind of like a mini series.
yes, I had a reporter from a local. They do a digital newspaper here. He actually reached out to me, and I don't know how I don't remember how he said he heard about it, but he reached out to me and said, "Hey, can I do an article for the news?" And I was like, "I guess. I mean, you really want to do an article on me?" Like, and so he interviewed me, and he was just the same thing. Like, man, I'm losing my train of thought now. um, Sorry, what was your question again?
No, you're good, man. There's a lot.
There.
I'm throwing a lot at you. So
Yeah.
you're playing it as a mini series.
Yeah, sorry, miniseries. Yeah, so he was wondering. He's like, "Man, you're only gonna do this as a miniseries?" He just loved the concept of it and wanted it to be longer, drag it out, like make it a huge thing. But you know, most of the indie series that I read, are like Source Point Press, Scout Comics, and a lot of those are smaller, 3 to 5 print, miniseries, not like your Walking Dead that gets drug out for 200
Yeah.
issues or whatever.
Yeah,
And
no, I totally get that.
I feel like sometimes if you try to drag something out too far, it just
It loses
becomes,
meaning.
yeah, it's just redundant. You get a lot of the same. People lose interest, and I don't want that. I want to give you the story. I want you to know. I want this to be impactful, and I think the most impact will be if you get that punch fast.
Yeah.
So
And Chris asked,
so
since you like The Walking Dead, do you like the changes the show has made? Any pet peeves of it?
some of them, I don't like where they are now. I've liked like I mean I would not say I would not take Daryl out of it for the most part. I wish they would have found a way to bring him into the comic book. But even him now, I'm not as big a fan on him as I was, 4 or 5 seasons ago. But there's some elements I like, and then a lot of it I just feel is they've drove the show out too long because of money, and they're making so much off of it. But even now, you look at the amount of viewers, it's fallen off so bad. I think they're just like holding on for that as far as they
Last little
can.
bit. They're squeezing the rest out of the sponge.
So I hate to see what's going to happen with these movies and all this stuff to try and like the Carol and Daryl show, and I'm worried about where The Walking Dead's going.
Yeah.
So.
And Gabriel asked, will this just be a miniseries, or do you think it could expand into something more? And I kind of want to expand on that question because that's where I was kind of going with next with the miniseries is, do you plan on doing any spinoffs of the miniseries?
I feel like there is definitely, it would be because this is just one person's story, 2 people, sorry. But I feel like you could easily do this for other characters, other people, how it affects their lives and what they go through and stuff like that. So it could easily be could easily be some spinoffs, and there's some side characters in this that you won't have enough time in a miniseries to tell their stories or how they got to where they are in this story. So it could easily be, stretched out into a more of a universe type thing.
Awesome. And then Jacob said, so Strings is exactly like Princess Bride, only vastly different.
Yeah.
And then that's what Gabriel said. He said, I was wondering if it could tell different stories for different characters or new characters.
Oh yeah, definitely easy. Like I said, there's going to be some characters that show up that you're going to want to know more about. That I could easily bring their story to life, and I don't want to tell you how, but you're going to find out things in the story, within the whole story, that are reasons why things happen in this story to other people, but it doesn't tell you their story. So.
And Jack wants to know how many issues you plan on printing for each of those 3 covers. Is there a limit to them? Or are you going to
issues for each of the 3 covers?
Yeah.
Like for the print, like a print run on them?
Yeah, he's wondering what kind of print run you're doing. Are you doing just like the print run for what the Kickstarter sells, or are you going to do an overrun?
Yeah, because me and my son want to do some conventions together, so he can draw, at my booths or whatever. Because I still got Izzy's comics and stuff like that, so I still gotta sell some comics too. Strings is definitely not gonna, pay the bills or feed 5 kids. So, so I plan on doing for the 3 covers, the 3 main covers. I'm gonna, depending on how many I need in the campaign, I'm looking at about 100 print run on each one. So not a huge print run, but we're already sitting at 100 and probably 125 backers or so, and probably about 40 or 50 of those guys have done the bundle package where you get all 3 covers anyways. So we're already looking at least 50 of them to begin with. So
yeah,
I'm looking at around 100 on the main ones, and then the Jacob Bear one, because that's just an add-on for anybody that's already backed the project. That one will have a more limited print run on it. So, and also with the Jacob Bear, I guess I can tell you guys here, I said it last night during my live sale, I'm going to do a Chrome version of it for Izzy's Comics that will only be available to my group, the Izzy's Comics group. So there'll be a Chrome version, but that'll be after the Kickstarter, just something I do on the side, and that'll have a limited print run as well.
So Rob Figman says, do you feel like zombies have run their course? Seems like vampires are now the flavor. What sort of supernatural aesthetic do you see on the Strings world?
I'm a huge vampire fan, so I could easily see myself doing some vampire stuff in it eventually. I don't have vampires planned. There's honestly, this isn't a supernatural. I don't, this is psychological. Okay? There's a reason why I say psychological, but I don't have supernatural elements exactly in there is some, but it's not that kind of thing, but I could easily see, I still like zombies. I still read zombie stories. I still read, I'm a huge I've been more vampires my whole life. Like, I love a good vampire story. So
as long as it's not Twilight, right?
Well, I actually watched the movies. I didn't read the books, but
oh, I did too, because my wife made me. But
no, definitely not sparkly and love story type vampires, So
if you love vampire stuff, I have to ask, because this is always a subject that gets brought up in the vampire community. So what did you think about the new Dracula movie that came out, about how the curse was transferred over to him? So because he wanted to. Have you seen the new Dracula? It came out like I don't know, like 6 or 7 years ago.
Are you talking like the one with like the where it had the huge like bat that turned into like the bats turned into like some like they morphed into something?
What is it, Dracula? Oh, damn it, I can't think of it. Dracula Rising or something like that.
I know what one you're talking about. I vaguely remember it, but you could talk about
Dracula Untold.
Yeah, I know I saw it, but obviously it didn't impact me.
Yeah.
I have a terrible memory. That's one thing I really struggle with. And I don't know if it's something I've gone to doctors. I've had tests ran, like, some of it I know it's just I don't pay attention good. um, my wife says I might have some attention deficit disorder, but I've just never been tested for something like that. But I've got a bad memory. So movies and stuff, unless they're very impactful,
You don't remember
I have
them.
a hard time remembering like anything about them. Or if I don't watch them multiple times,
No, I
same
understand.
thing.
So Brian says lots of conventions in Texas. Any chance of making it this way?
Uh, Definitely. We still have family in Texas. I was stationed in Texas when I was in the Army. I was at Fort Hood. Um, so I've got family down in San Antonio. My wife's got family all over Texas. So we would definitely plan to. My wife would love to move to Texas. But there's definitely a lot of conventions I wouldn't mind going to. Bell County Expo. Like I said, I was at Fort Hood. We didn't have the Bell County Expo, the Comic Con back then. But it seems like the Ninja Turtle, like Eastman and stuff, goes there every year, and I'm a huge Ninja Turtles fan. So probably make it down to Bell County for that at some point. So.
And Rob Figman said, "Always have vampire plans, Timmy. Always."
Oh yeah. I love vampires. If I can figure out a way to squeeze them in, I'll squeeze them in.
And Eduardo says, "Is there a favorite character of yours that you would like to write a miniseries of, if you could, from any other comic brand?"
From any other comic brand? Well, of course, Thanos. But I mean, it's funny because I read Thanos Rising, and I think I got it. My wife told me, she's like, the way you explain Thanos is not the way that I saw him in the book. She's like, I hated him in the book more than I hated him in the movie. And I was like, maybe I think highly of Thanos more than I thought. Maybe I made up this version of Thanos in my mind that needs to be made, like,
Yeah.
So maybe I have a story of my own I need to write for him.
And then Jacob asked, how did the name Izzy's come about? And that's because of, like, at the beginning of the show, when I was like, how do you pronounce this?
Right.
And let me see if I can get it right. It's Izagiri.
Yeah,
Is it close enough?
I don't say it very good. It's a Spanish name,
So Izzy was shortened because that was what they called you in the military, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Military, law enforcement always went by our last names, and everyone butchered it. So yeah, and every time I would say "is" a Gary, they were like, "Oh, Izzy." They'll just call you Izzy. It's a lot easier. So.
Yeah.
I actually have Izzy tattooed across my back, so if anybody forgets, it's right there too. So. But.
And then Jack said, if you can make a sparkly vampire, just don't make them a love sparkly vampire.
Yeah. Oh man.
And Melissa needs help to convince you to move to Texas.
Yeah, that's the wife.
North Texas by Lake Texoma is growing fast and is a great place to raise kids.
I don't know where that is. I don't know Texoma. My wife probably does, but I don't know where that one is.
And Jack, thank you very much. He said he just pledged, and he is backer number
Awesome,
128.
Man. I appreciate that.
And Danny says Texas has a homestead exemption. Trespassers can be shot, and great gun rights laws. Hope that helps.
I lived there for 10 years, so maybe I'll get like grandfathered in from the past,
Yeah, you never know. So you said, we already talked about, you said you plan on they're possibly doing like a spinoff or a different story arc from Streams. Do you have any other stories that you've written that you have plans on doing comic books or that you hope to bring to life?
I do. I had other stories that were ready that I could have done something with. I felt like Strings had the most impact. I do have some more playful ones, some more goofy ones, more cartoony type, but I just felt like this one was deep. It was strong. Could potentially impact several people. If I think we've all ignored something that our insides told us not to do or not to say, or so I felt like this could impact everybody just a little bit. So I felt it was a really deep, strong story. That's why I went with this one first. But I do have other stories. I actually have a funny one. I guess I can. It doesn't really matter. I mean, they're my stories, so I can tell about things, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So when I was in the military, I started drawing. It's going to be kind of funny. I'll leave out some of the details, but I started drawing characters as sperm, and and I actually made a whole like world of sperm with personalities, and and like they were all going for the same goal, you know. So and everybody's like sperm wars, and they're like, oh, this needs to be an Adult Swim cartoon or something one day, and
Swim.
so oh yeah. So that I think could be hilarious and fun. I don't know how much the
Man.
comic book world would enjoy reading something like that, but
That's the only thing that the sperm wars can participate in the Olympics is swimming.
so that's
Oh
one
my
of my
gosh.
really playful, goofy ones. When I actually joined law enforcement, I was at the police academy, and some of the guys heard about it, and they were like, "Oh, can you draw me as one? Can you make me one?" So I was drawing all my buddies at the police academy as the sperm characters too.
Yeah, and you know what? That sounds actually hilarious. Like I've never even thought of the concept of that before, but that's actually
Yeah,
pretty funny because there's a lot you could do with it. Like they're all
yeah,
fighting to be the one. Like
yep.
you have the character from Sparta as one of them. They're
I mean,
this
if
is
you saw it,
Sparta.
there's so many. There's even old sperm that have been hanging out long time. They've been stuck in, haven't gotten very far. They're on walkers and stuff like that. And like, it's crazy. It was like I have a whole world of sperms.
And then Brian asked, "Would you accept story ideas from other people wanting to break into the comic business?"
I mean, I'm always down. Like if it wouldn't if I didn't have other people that I could go to and talk and ask questions about and get advice from, then like I'm gonna help everybody. Even in the comic world, I've had other retailers reach out to me. I have no problem giving advice or helping people out or trying to make their dreams come true as well.
Sorry, Danny's comment down here got me. Brings me into one shot.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
So not all your books are going to be psychological thrillers and horror books
No,
like that. So you have a couple other different genres that you're
I'm
going to
all over
delve
the place.
into. You're all over
Yeah,
the
I mean,
place.
you saw I got a romance novel that I could write. I got that one that's really cheesy, and then I got one that's I've actually started designing the characters for, and I really think it's probably the next book that I go with. It's 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 cartoony, but it's going to be very deep as well. Um, I guess you could say it's a psychological, maybe not so much horror, but a really good psychological type story. So
Bryce said, "I remember years ago when you first told me about Strings. It's crazy to see how it has grown."
yeah, there's my son. There's Bryce. So he's obviously seen. He's even he's even seen the sperm wars. So he's seen them all. And yeah, so he's got the inside. He's actually seen the whole issue of Strings for the first one, and he's actually seen the. I've already told him the whole story for Strings number 2 as well, which has already been. We've already gotten the art where the cover art's already been made by the same artist that did the Kickstarter edition for number 1. I said, go ahead and let's get going. We're going to keep on rocking and rolling on the whole series. I don't want to stop,
Yeah.
like I don't want people to have to wait. And like the one thing I hate about, I love Kickstarters. If you see, I'm a super backer on there. Love backing Kickstarters. I've the one thing I hate though is when you wait 2-3 years to get your rewards. And people are like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's coming, it's coming," and they keep making excuses, and I don't want that. I mean,
Yeah.
I've even set my goal a little bit farther out than I plan on, getting them to people. I want the day it ends to start printing everything, and then hopefully get it out by the end of earlier, a lot earlier than I said.
Well,
So
and that's what lots of people like to hear too. I mean, you don't want to get in on a project that, they're like, "Oh, well, I wrote issue 1 and we're thinking about doing number 2." You're on top of it. You got 1 done and in the bag. You're getting everything geared up to start printing. But that's the biggest thing too. Not just having to wait on your rewards, but is there going to be a sequel? Are you going to read this book that you're going to get completely enthralled in, and then number 2 never happens? Because that happens a lot, but it sounds like you're going to power through
Oh yeah, yeah. I've already told the artist that did the interiors because I love the artist that did the interiors. He was not a comic book guy. He's a video game concept designer. What's this?
He says that
People
of
are
50
loving
Shades, it could be one load of Izzy.
it. But yeah, I've already told the artist to go ahead and I want you to stay on board for the whole series if you're willing to do it. And he's definitely down for the whole series, and we're gonna keep on rolling through as far as we can go with it. So
And then Keith's asking, so Strings number 2 will be also through Kickstarter?
that's not necessarily true. I've got a lot of connections in the comic world. So the plan is to, since number one's going to obviously be published, I would love to pitch it to somebody like a Source Point or a Scout Comics or something like that, and I mean, start traveling around with them and signing with them. Some next to some of the guys that inspired me. So, but not necessarily. If that doesn't work out, yeah, Kickstarter's worked out great, and I don't mind staying with Kickstarter. But I would love to be sitting next to some people at some convention tables. I've seen some of these guys how they roll, to the conventions with 4 or 5 guys or whatever deep and signing and just having a good time and laughing. And I would love to be that guy on the other side of the table signing stuff. So.
And then Jacob asked how many issues you're planning on doing. Is it 4?
It was going to be 4, but I felt like 4 is going to rush it. So it's going to be, I'm pushing for 5. So I'm going to stretch it out to about 5. So I feel like 4, originally I was saying 4. I got the story in my head, and I started, like I said, I went ahead and laid out number 2. And that I was able to drag out number 2 a little bit farther than I didn't get as far into the issue. Like when I was writing the issue, it didn't get as far into the story as I would have liked. So I feel like it's going to need a little bit more room to be a bigger series. Oh, I lost you. Uh-oh. Hold on. I lost my mic. I don't know if you guys can even hear me.
We can hear you just fine.
Yeah, but you're hearing me through the computer now.
I got you.
I think my son's headset died. Hopefully, there's not too much feedback.
Oh no, it wasn't too bad. Not as bad as it's been before. I made the big mistake, grave mistake one day of plugging my mic in while I was live on StreamYard. And you want to talk about feedback?
Mm-hmm.
I about fell out of my chair. It was horrid. So Brandon is pulling questions out of my head. Will Bryce do a VHS variant for each issue?
That's up to Bryce. I mean, I don't know where Bryce is going to be. He's already got the chance to do some covers later on this year, and also, like I said, he's still in high school. He actually graduates this year, and he's off to college. He got accepted into the architecture program at Mississippi State, so he'll be starting school in the fall. But if he's willing to continue working on doing stuff like that for me on the side too, I mean, I would love it. But obviously, he's not going to be as home as much and around me as much once he goes off to college. So, and I don't know how much that's going to take out of his time.
And Danny wants to know if that was a drawing seaman, a pun on the Navy seaman since you were in the Army.
What?
Oh, he said, was drawing seaman a pun on the Navy seaman since you were in the Army?
Oh no, not even close. It was just something. I was young and dumb, I guess. If you ever hung out with a bunch of soldiers, they not the most mature group.
So he said, nice. Hopefully it'll work through a publisher. I'm always down with the Izzy Nation.
Yeah, I've been told by some publishers that I need to get Bryce to do a store exclusive for something with some of their comics. So I don't want Bryce to be stuck with me. Like I'd like to see him branch out and other retailers and stuff reach out to him, and I don't mind promoting another retailer either. It's one thing I have no problem with. If I like somebody else's cover, I'm going to tell people I like their cover, and if Bryce does something for somebody, another store, I'm gonna tell people to go buy Bryce's cover on somebody else's store. So
And Bryce said, of course, I'll do covers for everything my dad does. So that's what we want to hear, because we want those VHS covers. We want that old time feel to it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, for the type of story that it is, it fits really well. And then Jack said, tell Bryce to do a VHS variant for each issue, and then on the last issue, make a cover for all of the series.
nice.
I don't know what you're meaning there, Jack. Or make all of the covers? I don't know. I'm not following.
Or is he saying put every maybe like a mashup all the covers on one solid cover or something?
Maybe that's what he's saying.
Now I will tell you this: the covers themselves have a story too. That I didn't just go. I wanted it to be really deep. There's three versions. There's three main covers, right? You got the Kickstarter edition, which is really the telling of what's in issue number 1. It's a lot of elements from the first issue. Then you got what I call the spoiler variant, which was Tyler's, the creepy looking one. And that's more of because it's a spoiler, that's more of a future thing. And then you got Bryce's, which is the retro old school VHS. So it's more of a past, something in the past. So you got a past, present, future type thing going on with the 3 covers, because that's going to be the elements of the story. Not like a Christmas Carol type thing, but there is going to be hints of the past, present, and future throughout the story to tell the whole story.
And Kyle said, if Bryce is unavailable, I'm down. Put me in, coach.
Kyle? Is that what Kyle said? Yeah, Kyle actually did one of the stretch goals as well. Hold on, my computer I thought was plugged in, but it's not. All right, so Kyle,
I get what. So before you answer Kyle's thing, I get what he's saying now. He said make it like a VHX box set, guys, just to cover to hold those 5 issues.
Well, it could be cool is doing one of the slip cover cases for like the whole for the whole set of single issues, or do a slip cover case for a hardcover collected edition, because I'm a huge fan of graphic novels or the collected editions, hardcovers and stuff like that. So it'd be nice to have like a slip cover VHS slip cover box, come up from the top instead of the side, like more like a VHS, But as far as Kyle, he did a painting for the stretch goal. He did the Psycho Jiminy Cricket for the first stretch goal that everybody's gonna get a print of.
What's up, Jamie? I bet it's a sparkling water. Remember that flavored water? Clearly Canadian. they're downing on you. They said something about drinking a wine cooler.
I don't drink. I think it's funny. I've never liked beer. I'll drink a Corona. That's about the closest thing to a beer that I drink. I like sweet stuff. I like liquor. Mostly mixed drinks. But when I'm not trying to get drunk, I'll drink something like this. If I'm just trying to drink something. So
I hear you. So I want to kind of go back on what you were talking about earlier. So you said you had written a romance novel, and that you had written like a fantasy novel. So do you plan on later on, after you do this Strings comic book series, do you think that you'll revisit novels, or are you going to stay strictly comics?
I need to finish at least the romance novel, because I think it's a good one, a really good one. I've actually told the whole story to people, and they're like, "Dude, this could be a movie," So I'll probably maybe eventually finish that one. That one's the farthest I've got into it, and I have the whole story in my head. So I would love to finish that one eventually. Like I said, I procrastinate a lot, and I find stuff to do with Izzy's a lot. You can ask my wife. I work round the clock. I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning talking to artists in other countries, because that's what time they're awake. So I don't sleep very much. So I get a few hours of sleep. If I get 3 to 5 hours of sleep a night, I can function the next day. Kind of might be irritable, but I need to find time to balance Izzy's with regular life sometimes. But yeah.
Yeah, he said we need to talk about military grade explosives just so I can get it out of my system.
People can't get off of that sperm wars story now.
No, that's not about the sperm wars. So I did blasting for a while. That's what I went to school for, was working with high explosives.
Oh yeah, that's why you got the Russ Explode. That's
Yeah,
why
so I do the Russ Explode Studios because it fits my personality and stuff. So,
I
you know,
got
we
you.
usually always tell funny stories about stuff we've blown up, and you know, like the cows running through the field from the blue
Nice.
peony mortars on the 4th of July. Well, no, it was when the 4th of July. It was for a. So I do. I haven't done it the last couple of weeks because I've just been slammed with work because I'm getting ready to launch my book in a couple of weeks, and I've been doing stuff for Naughty Fairies Con, and we got all these other ones working on cross promos, and it's just I've been slammed, so I haven't been doing the review show. So if you ever see it pop up, Blue Balls Reviews, that is where the name from that came from. We did a show several years ago, or not several years ago, last year. I mean, um, I guess it was like May or June. It was with Christina Haggerty and Wendy Steen Shaner. And so it was just off the chain. Like it was a blast. We had way too much fun. And so I was telling the story about how they had this, it was a graduation party. And so they were setting off the fireworks and one of the boxes blew apart and the mortars tubes fell down and they were already lit. So they fired off into this field where the cows were grazing. So the cows were running from the exploding blue balls because that's exactly what they were. They were the blue peonies. And so like the next day I get up and the first thing that's on Facebook is like a set of cow balls hanging on a barbed wire fence. And I'm just like cracking up. I'm like, where do you people find this stuff? So then Christina Haggerty takes it up another level. She takes it off of my page, puts a blue explosion around it, and then puts it back on my page. And so whenever we would talk about doing a book review show, that's how Blue Balls Reviews came to be. Because, Heather from Comics More Chaos, one of the pages we're going live to on YouTube, she was like, hey, we're going to start doing reviews. And I'm like, why haven't you talked to me? I'll do a review show. I'm like, I got it. It's going to be Blue Balls Reviews. My reviewer name is going to be Harry Sachs. I mean, how funny is that? So yeah, we talk about all kinds of explosions, like dropping buildings. I've done a couple of bridges and stuff like that. So I worked with C4, ANFO, plastic explosives, pretty much everything. I love to blow stuff up. That explosion at the beginning, the intro, that was last 4th of July out at
Nice.
our house. So
Nice.
it happens. So now that we got derailed on explosives, what kind of romance novel, like Fabio, or
No,
or
not like Fabio. It's gonna still be a fantasy element type of romance novel, not like dragons and knights and stuff like that, but it's gonna have like fantastical type elements to it. So it'll be. I don't want to say so much romantic comedy. It's definitely gonna be more of a sappy love story. But it'll be like a funny, or I guess some fun. Not Fabio though, not, and not Harlequin or anything crazy like that. So
So if you had did you do any art for the book? So you said you did art and you had people do like covers and stuff. So did you do the inner art of the book? I don't know that we've talked
I,
about the interiors.
I started to do the inner art for the book because of the last guy flaking on me and stealing my money. I started to draw, like I got through like half the first page and I was like, man, I can't do this. Like I doubt my I doubt my abilities in art a lot. I don't think that I can make my vision come to life the way. Yes, Nicholas Sparks, but not sad. There's my wife. She knows I love like some romance movies. but no, yeah, like I started to draw strings. I started to draw the cover. I actually bought one of these like completely blank comics and started drawing inside that to try and do it. And I've never been very confident when it comes to art. But I do little covers here and there and donate them to that comic book Covers for Cancer. Big supporter there. And I've done some prints and stuff like that I've sold on my group and stuff, but really just never done a whole lot with art. And I started to draw it. My wife said I should have done it. Would have saved me a ton of money. I wouldn't have needed such a lofty goal to start with. But I'm happy with the way it went. My wife told me I should have done one of the covers for it too. She said the Izzy's people would have loved to have, they would have supported it just because if you look at, that's one thing I can't thank people enough for is going through the list of the names that back the book. I know 90% of them. there's most of them are people that have been with Izzy's, or just hang out with, like, that know me, that talk to me, that buy from me. That means a lot. It says that I'm doing something right, that people appreciate me and support me. And so she really thought it was awesome if I had done a cover for it myself, but I didn't end up doing it. I started to do it. I drew it about 5 times, kept tearing it up, and finally I said, okay, I'm going to just ask Jacob Bear to do a cover.
So to expand on that question, can we look forward to seeing a cover from you?
I need to. We might do like maybe a special cover after, or something like that. That'll be like a store exclusive or something like that, or maybe even for one of the other issues. I don't know. I just need more time to get into my element when it comes to drawing.
Hey man, you could be. It could always be worse. You could be like as bad of an artist as me and do stuff like Stuff Pool here. I mean,
nice.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. But yeah, I do love the VHS.
When I get really into something, if you can ask, when I get into drawing a lot and I got a lot of passion in that drawing, it turns out okay, I guess. You mind if I show you one the last like big one I did?
No, not at all.
Okay. So, as I said, I'm a huge Thanos nut, and I'm a huge Ninja Turtles fan. So I did a homage to Infinity Gauntlet #1, and I did the Ninja Turtles. It's hard to see it, but it's got all the villains, and it's an homage to TMNT #1 and an homage to Infinity Gauntlet #1, and it's the villains of TMNT. I pencil it, and then I inked it, and then I had Sean Forney actually digitally colored it for me, and I sold prints out for that last year. So, but I just did take, it takes me a minute to get into my element when it comes to drawing. I kind of like, if I let my head get in the way, I just can't do it.
And Brandon had a great point here. If you keep rolling like you are, you've still got 13 days left to go. You can make a stretch goal, man. That'd be an awesome idea. People would love to see a cover from you.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw this. Go ahead and talk about this.
Let me put up on full screen again here.
All right, Sold Soul. Okay, this is actually a new stretch goal that we added a couple days ago. My son finished this. This is his project that he's doing as a comic book. He did all the pencils, inks, digital colors, lettering. He did everything for this. And this is just like a little ash can. It's just on photo paper, but it's a full colored 8-page ash can preview to his book, and it's got his logo on the back.
Well, that's cool.
And it tells a little bit about it on the back. And we actually added this, so we're hoping, because there's a lot of people that support both of me and him, we're hoping that we can get this printed at the same time to go out to backers as well, because I know a lot of them would appreciate to have both of our first books together. But we added this at the $12,000 goal. No clue if we'll get to 12,000. I wasn't even expecting to be where we're at now. But if we get to 12,000, everyone back to a physical copy of the book will get an ash can copy of his Sold Soul as well. So,
and then Stuff Wilson's here. He said Stuff Wilson covers are big sellers, and then I missed a couple. And then Jacob said asking Jacob Bear was a wise choice.
I love Jacob Bear. He's been good to me. So definitely had to go. I'm glad that he was willing to do something, because I know that he hasn't done. I haven't seen a whole lot of covers outside of his own stuff, so it meant a lot for him to be willing to step out of his element and do something for Izzy's. Yeah, or for strings, I guess I should say, not for Izzy's.
He said he needs you to draw a Venomous Pony cover.
Yeah, that one. We'll see.
And then Brian Booth and Stuff Wilson said, "Nice work on the I
shredder." Need Stuff Wilson to do something. I know those boob covers do good. I even said something to another guy that does Kickstarters, and he does all boob books, and he makes a killing off of it. I was like, I should, if I had a boob book, I'd probably be over 20 grand right now.
Well, see, Steph Wilson's got a nice rack. I mean, even Ruben Rosas has to fondle it. So, that it happens. But hey, you know what? I take pride in the fact of saying that I have one of the only Steph Wilson artwork that doesn't have boobs in it.
Nice.
But yeah, Brian and Steph said nice work on the Shredder cover, and
Thank
Steph
you.
said
Thank you.
Soul Soul looks cool, and that he has I have skills. I hate when that comment dump happens. You go to click on a comment and it goes.
Yeah. I like this better than just going. I usually just do my lives through Facebook. I've never done this, and I like how the comments are on the side like that. That's it.
Yeah, it makes it nice because these feeds save to StreamYard like permanently. You can enter back into the studios and check out the comments and stuff, and they're
Nice.
always there. That's the bad thing about Facebook. People comment.
I told my wife to look into it so we can start using this program for live sales. Even though I'm lousy at live sales. I get asked all the time, "Are you gonna do a live sale? You gonna do a live sale?" And I'm like once a month right now. I have a hard time keeping up with everything. Last week I boxed up like over 500 packages just by myself for our Something Is Killing the Children exclusive that we did for one of the fan club groups.
Yeah.
And that took all my time. I didn't have time to do other stuff. I felt like all I did was package boxes last week.
So you said you do. I did want to go back and expand on that because it's something I'm very big on. I'm a big supporter of comic books for kids, but you said you do covers for comic books for cancer.
Yeah, I've probably done at least, I would say at least 8 maybe or so. I do a couple every few months. I do one because I think they do like 3 or 4 eBay campaigns a year to for cancer funds, and I donate blanks from Izzy's through the store. I donate blanks to comic book covers for cancer, and then I try to do a couple covers a year. Bryce has even done some covers for comic book covers for cancer, and so I'm a really big supporter of them. They share out a lot of my stuff because they know I'm a big supporter of them, and so yeah, that's where most of my covers go. I don't try to sell them. I don't try to show them off or anything like that. I pretty much just donate them, and then I'll tell people, hey, if you want something of mine, it's at Comic Book Covers for Cancer. So no, I'm not gonna do that. Not gonna.
Oh man, we're so stuck on that. It's still so funny every time somebody brings it up. You have to do that, man. That is hilarious. I would totally back something like that.
Yeah, we might go with that one shot for the first time, like I said, just to get a story out there and see how it goes.
Yeah, I think it would go over well. That's what we need in this world. We need comedy and people that just don't care. Just to go out there and put something and be like, this is totally stupid and I don't care because it's funny. And those are the books that I love. The parody books and the stuff where it's just downright stupid, but it's so stupid it's hilarious.
I think we could definitely use a Steph Wilson on that book.
Steph Wilson, do you hear that? Get on that right away. He needs a cover of Swimmers.
So,
hey, that could be the comic book name, Lil Swimmers.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
If I had my sketchbook here, I'd show off a little bit of the doodles and stuff like that, but I don't have the sketchbook.
Danny D said Sperm Wars is the final issue as the kid gets there.
Yeah, that's
and then Jacob said Splooge Wars, Sperm Wars, the great spooge. Jeez, we've totally gone off the rails. Like when you mentioned Sperm Wars, I think everybody's still stuck like a half an hour ago, and their wheels are turning. They're like, "Oh, man, what can
that's good though." Now everybody's gonna be hoping, as soon as it comes out, everybody's gonna be jumping on it.
Yeah, the day one that you put the pre-launch up, there's gonna be like 1,000 people that are gonna be hitting the notify me. Like, I can't wait for this. It's gonna be great. Everybody's gonna blow their load on it. Ooh,
we're gonna need a Pearl edition of that one.
Yeah. Pearl Necklace edition. Steph, is it big boobs that sells or parody covers? And just check Jim Noble hasn't done it already.
Parody would be good.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully Jim Noble's not watching. It's going to come out tomorrow. Oh, man. You guys.
Speaking of the guy that I was talking about with who sells a lot of money off of big boobs or boob books.
Yeah. I thought Roxy was against drugs. So, man, it's great. It was great having you on here tonight. I really appreciate you coming in and talking about your projects and, you know, the inspirations. It's really cool to find out, you know, you also, you know, dipped your feet in writing novels. And I really hope that you continue on the path of, you know, following your dream with getting that romance novel completed and the fantasy novel completed. I mean, that would be really cool. You know, you got your comic book in the bag. You got another 13 days and you can get that printed and sent out and finish the series out. But I really hope you stick with it, man.
I appreciate it. Appreciate you having me here.
Where's Waldo Spunk? Oh my God.
It's not going to stop now till you turn it off.
It's all good. Hey, man, that's how the crowd is all the time. Go Izzy. Congrats, said Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle.
So thanks so much for being on here tonight, man. I will give you the full screen one last time. Tell people where they can find you. Tell them who you are and tell them your rundown on Strings.
All right. So obviously I'm Timothy Izagary, but I'm also Izzy's Comics. We have Izzy's Comics, the Facebook group. That's where we do most of our stuff, is if you wanted to follow our comic shop. We're on Instagram as well, at Izzy's Comics. And then Strings, #1 is on Kickstarter right now. Like he said, it's got almost 2 weeks left. And it is if you like psychological horror, not so much your like slasher type stuff, but a psychological horror with a deeper story. Like I said, it's about, you know, just ignoring that voice inside your head and finally needing an intervention on your life. It's like I said, it's a deeper story, something that I think everyone can relate to in some way. So go ahead and check us out on Kickstarter, and hopefully we can get you all some good rewards and make Bryce's comic happen too. Would be amazing. So thank you all for supporting, and thank you all for letting me live out this dream.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to kick you back to the backstage. If you want to hang out for a few minutes, I'll end the live stream, and I will be back, and I'll chat with you for a few minutes before you go.
All right, appreciate it.
Appreciate it. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for being here tonight. It was a great show. Learned a lot about Timothy. It's really cool to hear the stories and where the inspirations for where these books come from and where the ideas come from. I really would like to see him pursue the passions of his novels. It sounds like an awesome idea. So thanks everybody for being here tonight. Definitely go check out Strings #1. Help him and Bryce make their dreams come true and get these books printed. Let's hit that stretch goal. And least of all, if you can't purchase anything, I understand times are hard. At least give it a share. Copy and paste that link into your timeline, because if you can't back it, you may have a friend that will back it, or your friends will share. There's always someone else out there. So as always, everyone, Russ Explode Studios, projects that'll blow your mind. Have a great night.